conversations continue now on The Maggie Linton Show.
Welcome back. Tomorrow, an exciting day as we welcome the legendary a cappella group Sweet Honey in the Rock. The ladies will join us live here in studio to talk about their new album and upcoming Carnegie Hall appearance. Then journalist and writer Giles Milton with strange history facts and his book When Hitler Took Cocaine and Lenin Lost His Brain. But we continue right now with our friend, motivational speaker and author Stacey Young. He joins us today with his former high school principal, Gwen Felder. She refused to let him drop out of school 30 years ago. I love those educators. Don't you, Stacey?
Absolutely, especially when they're like Miss Gwendolyn Felder.
All right. Well, let's talk about where you were at that point, because you were not an exciting student at that point, were you?
No, I wasn't focused at all. And what had happened was I was doing drugs, I wasn't attending school, and my first sophomore year, I failed 6 out of 7 classes. And there was a parent-teacher conference that said, he's not doing well, this isn't the right environment for him, and he needs to go get a job and leave school. That was the only advice that I was given. Understandably, they were concerned because I had missed over 1/3 of the school year and had failed 6 out of 7 classes, but the advice shouldn't be for me to leave. It should be, how can we get a hold of this kid and figure out what's going on? And so by the grace of God, I was held back, even though I never told any of my friends until maybe just a few years ago. And because I spent this time with Miss Gwendolyn Felder, it allowed me to have someone who had actually cared about me, and she just wouldn't go away. And I couldn't stand her at the time for all the wrong reasons. But she just wouldn't wouldn't go away. And I remember this one time I was out in the hallway, and I was walking down one hall because I was always in the hallway doing something I shouldn't be doing. And I started to go down the hallway, and I was going to go straight ahead, and then I turned right, and then I looked around the corner, and there she was. And I was like, oh no. And then she had a conversation with me then. She said, why are you in this hallway? We've already had a conversation about this. And she said, let me make it clear to you. I do not expect to see you in this hallway again. And if I do, we will be having a different conversation. And I always will remember that.
Because
what did you see
I
in him?
said to him that we do not have classes in the hallway, so you need to be in a class. Stacey was the kind of student that would disappear if you let him. And when he was assigned to me, I felt that this is a student that I'm going to have to get in his face and get in his space in order to make him do what he needs to do. And so one of the things that I always said to him is, I'm going to see you, or you're going to see me every time you turn around, because we're going to make this work. You are going to graduate. And the look that he gave me was like, I know you're not talking to me. And whenever I saw him, that's what I would say to him. How are we doing? Are you going to classes? And he would, yeah, and move on. But I had a way of checking with the teachers to find out if he was going to classes. And if he hadn't turned in his homework or anything else, then I would send for him. We had a secretary, Ms. Diane Thomas, and she would say, you need to see your son. So we would send for him, and he'd come to the office. I think he took the longest route to get to my office. And
he was probably walking slow, too.
Very slowly.
Yeah.
But we made it, and I think I was surprised when he contacted me because I had not heard from him in a number of years. And after he contacted me, I remembered that he had sent me a graduation announcement. And I think I sent him $5 and said, buy a smoothie or something, and didn't hear from him again. But I have to say that it is interesting to know that you never know what you say to a young person or a student, how they're going to take it. And it could make a whole difference in their lives. So for educators, and a number of my friends are educators, I always say to them, be careful what you say to that child. And the child that you think that is not going to make it, that's the one that needs you the most. one of the other things that I did when students were not doing what they were supposed to do, you know, how fathers get these ugly ties at Father's Day.
Yes.
I would say, okay, I think you need to come in a shirt and tie today. And Stacy, one of those times, had to wear one of those ugly ties. They had to wear their own shirt. And that's how I learned how to tie ties, too, because when
They didn't
were
have the
acting
clip-ons
up-
back then, did they?
No, they did not. They did not. And they had to wear that tie. But I think when they dress as a person or a business person or a college student or a student with a shirt and tie, they acted differently. I don't know to this day why, but they always seem to act differently. And so when it got to a point that I felt that they were not doing what they should be doing, then I would say, come in tomorrow, you have to wear a shirt because you're going to put on a tie. And it worked. So,
And that's such a way of doing it, well, rather than hollering, screaming, calling them names, whatever. That's a way of discipline in a very quiet but effective way.
yes, I have 3 adult children, and my children always said, Mom doesn't usually raise her voice, and the lower she talks, the worse it's going to be. So,
But, that's just it. That's something that, as you as an educator also did as a parent, and how many parents don't realize what they say to their children can affect them for years to come. And we must look toward the positive way of doing it, right?
exactly. We have to be careful, as I said, what we say to students because you never know how it's going to affect you. I would not have dreamed about being on the radio talking to Stacey Young about the times that we encountered each other because I felt that I was just doing a job. But there were students that you know
But
that
you
have
were
to
doing
prod.
a job where you cared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yes.
Not just
That's
a job, but a job where you cared.
And I think that most of the students know that I cared about them. I've had students to come back to me and say that, I really thought that you didn't care about me because you were always in my face every time I turned around. One of the other things that I did, not necessarily with Stacy, but, they lovers, young lovers, and they would be in the hall when they should be in class. And I would tap them on the shoulder and say, oh, I just wanted to see if that was the same girl I saw you with yesterday. Well, that made them, what? But they went to class. Mm-hmm. So the things that you do, you don't know how or what effect they're going to have on the student. But I think you have to care about young people, and you have to let them know that you care. I guess it's now what we call tough love. I didn't realize it back then, but I guess that's what I was doing, practicing tough love. And I'm glad that you have turned out to be as successful as you are. And this will be an inspiration perhaps to some other students that you're working with, that they will feel that, yes, I can turn my life around. I can change what I'm doing if it's not the right thing. And I hope that you will do that. And I know that you're doing that from your articles that I've read about you.
Very true. Once again, we're talking with Ms. Gwendolyn Felder. She was Stacey Young's former high school principal. And we're also talking with motivational speaker and author Stacey Young. We're going to have to take a quick break, but when we come back, more with Stacey and Ms. Felder. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We'll be right back with more conversation about today's hottest topics right after this short break. This is the Maggie Linton Show on Sirius XM Urban View. Stories that inspire you. You are listening to the Maggie Linton Show on Sirius XM Urban View.
Welcome back. We continue with former high school principal Gwen Felder and a motivational speaker and author and friend, Stacey Young. We're here talking about the impact that educators, principals, teachers, even mentors can make on a child's life just with those right words. And at the time, you felt like she had a GPS system on you, didn't you?
Absolutely. The wrong one.
Every time you saw her, what was the thought going through your mind back then?
Oh, no, let me get out of here as quickly as possible. Because I knew that she was going to say something that I didn't want to hear, but I needed to hear.
Yeah. And what kind of support were you getting from home?
Well, I mean, my mom is strong. She was taking care of me, but given the age difference and the generational differences, she didn't necessarily push me as much as she could have or should have. But, I mean, she loved me. She was there for me. Wasn't a lot of demonstration of love, but just didn't have the push. And I needed somebody to give me that push because I wasn't getting it in the classroom environment that I was in because they weren't tapping into my potential or things that I was interested in and I was bored. So they weren't trying to reach me. So I found other things to do.
How many times did you have to wear the tie?
Oh, I don't even remember. Not that I want to disclose anyway.
Dr. Felder, what got you into education field?
I think to want to help children, young people. At first, I thought I was going to be an X-ray technician, and somehow that went away because I won a scholarship and was going to Howard. But my parents said, no way, you're not going there. So I went to South Carolina State and graduated from there and majored in biology. So I became a science teacher. And then after coming to Fairfax County, I thought maybe I should go into administration. I taught for several years and enjoyed it. And then I went into administration, and that was helpful. So,
and just kept going. And still touching lives, though. That's the important key.
Yes, I feel that now I do. I as I told Mr. Madison, that I retired because I think this is the second time that I retired, because after I retired from Fairfax County as an administrator, working with minority students, I went to work in the Virgin Islands as a coordinator for school plans, writing their school plans, because in the Virgin Islands they have the three islands, St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John. Unfortunately, the schools were not accredited, so I ended up working with them to get their schools accredited. And that's what I was saying. I have a friend that I met at the time. She was a high school principal, but she's now the commissioner of education in the Virgin Islands. And when I was over there in December, I was telling her about Stacey, and she said, they always tease me because I do talk softly.
We notice that. But there's strength behind that quietness.
Well, like they said, Roosevelt said, I guess, walk softly but carry a big stick.
Yeah.
So I think that's what Stacey thought, that I always had a stick or something, because I would show up in the least place that he expected me to, and he would turn and start walking the other way, and I'd just say, Stacey. And we had good conversations. I think at the time, like most people, he felt that I was just trying to get on his case, that he didn't need to be doing the things that I wanted him to do, which were the things that he needed to do: go to class, get your homework in on time, and do the things that you're supposed to do, and you'll be successful. You don't have to hang out in the hallways. At that time, we also had smoking in the schools. And I don't think he smoked, but he was always in the smoking court. So I'd have to go get him. And the students would say, is that all you have to do is to monitor the smoking halls? I said, believe me, that's not why I went to school. But if that's what I have to do, that's what I will do. So, yes, I'm going to see. And finally, we got the smoking court closed, so that was a plus. Then he had to find someplace else to go, and which was class. So, because there weren't too many other places that you could go. Yeah. It was a large school, but I knew the places where they hung out.
And, because of this, you actually started showing up more.
Mm-hmm.
And being more involved. And now look at you. You're a writer on a regular basis. Talk about your latest project.
Well, the first thing that I would say quickly is that she planted a seed inside of me that I could do and be better. And so it took me years before I sort of figured out how that worked for me. But I never, ever forgot what you did for me. And I will forever be thankful. And that's why I wanted to bring you in here, because it's important to go back, doesn't matter how long it is, and tell someone who positively impacted and changed my life, thank you. Because
you're welcome.
Because if it wasn't for you, my life would be so much different. And I might be the one that's inside the jail where the guys that I'm helping right now. Because of you, I didn't go that route. And now I can take my experiences and use that to transform
other lives. Yeah, definitely. And you talked about the surprise when he contacted you, Mrs. Felder.
Yes, I was, because, as I said, I hadn't heard from him. And I think I had just come off a trip and answered the phone, and he said, this is Stacy Young. And I'm thinking, really?
Yeah.
And we talked, and he said, I've been trying to find you, and I'm so glad that I found you. And then he told me about his website. So I went to the website and looked at it, and I thought, well, he has really changed his life around, and I am so happy for him. And, if you could just each one, reach one, or teach one, and I feel that that's my case with you. I think there are other kids who've been successful, but you made it a point of finding me to tell me, and that means a lot to me, and to know that you've been successful in what you're doing. And so I've told, my younger son was with me at the time, and I told him that one of my former students called me, and we talked, and so I'm going to meet him one of these days. And he said, oh, Mom, that's good. He graduated from one of the other schools in Fairfax County. So it has been a pleasure. And coming here this morning, I thought, only for Stacy would I do this.
Because you had to drive a ways. But like I said, it'll be a lot easier going back. Okay, Stacy, you want to talk about your latest project?
Well, really, I want to talk about my book, Above Expectations, My Story, An Unlikely Journey from Almost Failing High School to Becoming a College Professor, which I actually write about you in the book. And now I'm going to have to go back and update the book to add another chapter about our time meeting together. But I also just want to leave folks with my website as well, because I have a dedicated page on my website, which is slyoung.com/inspired.html, and it lists all of the work that I'm doing to give back to at-risk communities, including information about my nonprofit, which is called Saving Our Communities at Risk Through Educational Services. The short name is Socrates, and it's available at socrates.org. But there's a lot of information on my website for a lot of other different educational and life challenges as well, so definitely check that out at slyoung.com.
Yeah, but your Socrates organization, as well as the work that you're doing within the prisons, you're helping change lives, and you learned from her.
Exactly.
From Ms. Felder. She, the inspiration, we never know how far it's going to go. And now, people can read him all over the world through HuffingtonPost.com, through his books, through the way he gives. You helped change a life.
And for me, that's a blessing.
Yeah.
And I do appreciate your contacting me and letting me know that.
I've never forgotten you and never will. Thank you.
All right. Folks, there you have it. It is motivational speaker and author Stacey Young. His former high school principal, Gwen Felder, who raised 3 of her own and obviously did a 4th one over here, too, that you didn't even know about. Stacey's many books, blogs, and articles can be found at his website, slyoung.com. Once again, slyoung.com. Facebook, he's Stacey.young.7583. Once again, that's Stacey.young.7583. Tomorrow, legendary a cappella group Sweet Honey and the Rock and journalist and writer Giles Milton with his new book, When Hitler Took Cocaine and Lenin Lost His Brain. There's a lot of history in there. Folks, I will tell you, just hang with us. We've got some other interesting people, including at the end of the next hour, Marlon Wayans, and he's going to be talking about his new film, 50 Shades of Black. It's a take on 50 Shades of Gray. When we return, so we hope you'll stay. You've been listening to The Maggie Linton Show.